Listen very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you in the next few minutes can flip your confidence from zero to unstoppable. Most people spend their entire lives begging for approval, waiting for permission to feel powerful. Not you, not anymore. From this moment forward, you're done living small. You're done doubting yourself. Today, you learn the 12-minute formula for instant confidence. And once you understand it, you'll never walk into a room the same way again. Confidence isn't magic. It isn't a gift. It's a decision. A brutal, no excuse, no weakness decision. People think confidence is something you're born with. Wrong. Confidence is built in the dark when nobody's watching. It's built in the moments when you feel tired, broken, unsure, but you still move, you still push, you still fight. That's where confidence is born. Every morning, you get exactly 12 minutes that determine the direction of your entire day. 12 minutes where you either dominate your mind or your mind dominates you. Sit up, breathe deep, look in the mirror, and remind yourself, no one is coming to save me. No one owes me anything. If I want power, I create it. That mindset alone puts you ahead of 99% of people who wake up confused, weak, scrolling, and lost for the first 4 minutes. Control your physiology. Stand tall, chest up, shoulders back. You don't wait to feel confident. You act confident and your brain follows. The next 4 minutes, control your thoughts. Eliminate negativity like poison. Tell yourself, I am built for this. I don't bow. I don't break. I don't give my mind to fear. In the last 4 minutes, take action. Send the message. Make the call. Start the task. Confidence is built on action, not imagination. The world respects momentum, not excuses. Remember this, the fastest way to destroy your confidence is to hesitate. Hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever will. When you hesitate, you give fear time to grow. When you move instantly, fear never gets a chance. That's why you need the 12-minute formula, because it shuts down hesitation. It puts you in motion. It forces you to live like a weapon, not a spectator. People will talk. People will doubt you. People will try to drag you back into the life they're stuck in. Ignore them. Confidence isn't about being liked. It's about being undeniable. You're not here to fit in. You're here to dominate your lane with so much certainty that people feel your energy before you even speak. That's real confidence. That's unshakable confidence. And understand this, confidence isn't loud. It's not about shouting. Real confidence is when you walk into a room and everyone can feel you. Real confidence is when your presence speaks before your mouth does. Real confidence is when your results are louder than their opinions. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You need discipline, execution, and the courage to bet on yourself every single day. So the next time you feel doubt, remember the formula. 12 minutes. That's it. Most people waste 12 minutes scrolling useless garbage. You use 12 minutes to sharpen your mind, sharpen your energy, sharpen your identity. Consistency beats talent. Discipline beats luck. And confidence? Confidence beats everything. Confidence is a decision long before it ever becomes a feeling, and that's the part nobody wants to accept because it exposes the truth. You are not lacking confidence. You are lacking the courage to decide. The moment you understand that confidence isn't inherited, it isn't gifted, it isn't granted by the world, everything about your life transforms. Confidence is the internal declaration that says, I choose to show up as the strongest version of myself, even when I don't feel like it. That decision alone separates the people who stay average from the people who rise. And most people aren't actually afraid of failing. They're afraid of accepting that they are responsible for who they become. The second you make the decision to be confident, you can no longer blame your past, your doubts, your insecurities, or your circumstances. You become accountable, and accountability scares people more than failure ever could. The world tries to convince you that confidence is something mysterious, something only the lucky ones get. But the truth is brutally simple. Confidence is the result of choosing strength over fear every single day. It starts with the way you talk to yourself when nobody is watching. It starts when you decide, I will not let fear dictate my actions. The moment that decision becomes non-negotiable, your energy shifts. You walk differently, you speak differently, you think differently. Why? Because your internal identity has changed. You're no longer waiting for permission to feel powerful. You're declaring that power from within. And here's another. If you wait to feel confident before acting, you'll wait your entire life. People who succeed act first and let confidence grow from their actions. Confidence is a decision to step into your potential, even when uncertainty tries to hold you back. It's the choice to trust your ability to figure things out. It is not the absence of fear. It is the dominance over fear. Think about this. Every person you admire, every leader you look up to, every high performer you respect, they didn't start confident. They started brave. They made decisions that scared them, pushed them, stretched them. And from those decisions, confidence grew like a muscle. That's the reality. Confidence grows through repetition of courageous choices. And the more you choose strength, the more your brain learns that you are someone who acts with power, not hesitation. What stops most people from making this decision is the illusion that they're not ready. They're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mindset, the perfect emotion. But perfection is the enemy of progress, and waiting is the enemy of confidence. Here is simple. If you want instant confidence, you must master instant decisions. The longer you think, the weaker you become. The more you hesitate, the more fear grows. The moment you decide to stand tall, decide to speak boldly, decide to take action, you kill hesitation and awaken confidence. That single decision can shift the entire trajectory of your life. Making the decision to be confident builds a foundation inside you that no opinion, no failure, no judgment can shake. When you choose confidence, you're choosing identity over insecurity. You're choosing strength over comfort. You're choosing growth over excuses. And this choice creates a ripple effect in everything you do. You become someone who doesn't back down when challenged, someone who doesn't tremble under pressure, someone who doesn't fold when life hits hard. You become someone who leads, not someone who follows, someone who creates opportunities, not someone who waits for them, someone who commands respect, not someone who begs for it. Here's the final. The moment you decide to be confident, the world begins responding to you differently. People feel your presence before you speak. Opportunities gravitate toward you. Challenges no longer look like threats. They look like chances to prove your strength. You become a force. And it all starts with one choice, one internal decision. I will be confident whether I feel ready or not. This is the moment your true transformation begins. The first 12 minutes of your day determine who you become for the next 24 hours. And most people never realize how much power they waste the moment they open their eyes. They roll out of bed confused, unfocused, instantly reacting to the world instead of commanding it. But if you truly want instant confidence, you must understand that hidden in your morning, your mind is most vulnerable, most programmable, and most influential in those first few minutes. What you feed it becomes your identity for the rest of the day. If you start with weakness, you will think weak, speak weak, and act weak. But if you start with intention, presence, posture, and discipline, your entire day becomes a reflection of strength. This is the difference between people who drift through life and people who dominate it. The truth is simple and brutal. You either seize your morning or the world will seize it for you. The first 12 minutes are not about comfort. They are about control. They're the time where you choose whether you will operate like a leader or like a follower. And if you don't control your thoughts the moment you wake up, someone else will. Your phone will. Social media will. The opinions of strangers will. The noise of the world will. Confidence cannot survive in a mind that starts the day in chaos. Confidence thrives in a mind that starts with clarity. That is why you need to treat your morning like the ignition switch of your entire identity. When you wake up, your brain is in a state where it absorbs direction rapidly. This is where the game is won. The first 12 minutes are about programming yourself for certainty. Stand up with posture, breathe deeply, move with intent. These small actions done consistently tell your mind, I am in command. The moment you take control of your body, you take control of your thoughts. And when your thoughts align with strength, confidence becomes your default setting. Most people underestimate these 12 minutes because they underestimate themselves. They think confidence is something reserved for high achievers, not realizing high achievers simply mastered their mornings long before anyone knew their names. Your morning determines your momentum. Momentum determines your confidence. Think of it like this. If you start your day slow, lazy, hesitant, mentally foggy, your entire day becomes an uphill battle. But if you start the day with clarity, structure, and energy, you carry that dominance into every task, every conversation, every challenge. That's the confidence is momentum. It's not built in one giant moment of inspiration. It's built in small, intentional decisions repeated every single morning. These 12 minutes shape the way you think, and the way you think shapes the way you act. This is why successful people guard their mornings like warriors guard territory. They understand that the world is constantly trying to steal their focus, drain their energy, and weaken their identity. But when you master these 12 minutes, you create a mental shield that no negativity can penetrate. Imagine waking up each day knowing you're already ahead before the world even starts. That's not arrogance. That's preparation. That's discipline. That's how confidence is created. Your morning isn't just a routine, it's a declaration. You're telling yourself, today I move with certainty. Today I think with clarity. Today I dominate my environment. And here's another. Confidence comes from proving to yourself that you can trust your own consistency. When you show up strong in the first 12 minutes, your mind starts believing you are someone who follows through, someone who doesn't break, someone who doesn't fold. And once your mind trusts you, your confidence becomes unshakable. Most people never rise because they never start right. They rush, they panic, they react, and they wonder why their lives feel chaotic. But you're different. You understand the power of those early minutes. You understand that confidence is created before the world even sees you. The first 12 minutes of your day are your foundation, your fuel, your edge. And when you learn to control that window, you're not just building confidence, you're building a version of yourself that is impossible to intimidate, impossible to discourage, and impossible to stop. Acting confident before you feel confident is one of the most powerful psychological strategies you can ever master. And it's the secret most people ignore because it sounds too simple. They wait for confidence to show up like some magical burst of energy. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect moment. But waiting is a trap. And here's the emotion of confidence only appears after you behave like someone who deserves it. Confidence follows action, not the other way around. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you will spend your entire life standing on the sidelines, watching others live the life you want. The people who win are not the people who feel confident. They are the people who move like they already are. Your physiology is the first trigger of confidence. When you stand tall, lift your chest, pull your shoulders back, and walk with certainty, you force your brain into a state of power. This isn't opinion, this is biology. Your body sends signals to your brain telling it what emotional state to enter. When you move like you're strong, your mind thinks you're strong. When you move like you're defeated, your mind sinks to the level of your posture. That's why warriors walk with presence, leaders walk with authority, and champions walk with purpose. Here's another. Your body reveals your identity before your words ever do. If you walk into a room like you don't belong there, nobody will believe you do. But if you walk in like you own the space, the world responds to you differently. Acting confident isn't pretending, it's practicing the identity you want until it becomes the identity you own. You're not faking strength, you're activating it. Every great performer, fighter, speaker, or leader uses this technique long before they step into the spotlight. They adopt the posture, energy, and presence of the person they aim to be. And through repetition, that becomes their reality. Confidence is not a personality trait, it's a skill. And like any skill, it grows through practice, not feelings. The here is simple. Confidence is built through identity rehearsal. Each action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you act confident, even when doubt is whispering in your mind, you create momentum. And momentum is the enemy of insecurity. Doubt thrives in stillness, but it dies in motion. Think of a time you were terrified to start something, a new job, a difficult conversation, a massive risk. But once you took the first action, the fear shrunk instantly. That's the power of behavior over emotion. Action rewires the mind. Action resets your state. Action builds the internal belief that you can trust yourself under pressure. That belief is the foundation of true confidence. Most people allow their emotions to decide their behavior. If they feel weak, they act weak. If they feel uncertain, they shut down. If they feel afraid, they retreat. But high performers do the opposite. They behave like the person they want to be, and their emotions eventually align. Your emotions are followers, not leaders. They follow your body language, your breathing, your tone, your decisions. When you choose to act powerful, your emotions will adjust themselves to match the image you project. Acting confident transforms your communication too. When your voice is steady, direct, and deliberate, people listen. When your eyes are focused, not darting around in uncertainty, people respect you. When your handshake is firm, When your walk is purposeful, when your energy is controlled, the environment shifts around you. You become someone people take seriously. You become someone who commands attention without needing to ask for it. And the more you adopt these behaviors, the more your brain locks in the belief that you are someone who deserves respect. Acting confident is the fastest way to create real confidence because it proves to yourself that you can perform under pressure. It trains your mind to operate from strength instead of fear. And once you do this consistently, something powerful happens. Confidence stops being an act and becomes your natural state. You won't have to think about it. You won't have to force it. You won't have to try. You will simply be the confident, unshakable version of yourself that your actions have shaped. That is the transformation people admire, and it all starts with one simple truth. Confidence isn't waiting, it's behaving. Hesitation is the silent killer of ambition, the quiet thief that steals confidence before it even has a chance to grow. Every time you pause, overthink, second guess, or wait for the perfect moment, you give your fear room to breathe. And fear is greedy, it expands into every space you allow it. Here's the longer you hesitate, the louder your doubt becomes. The more you delay, the stronger your anxiety grows. The moment you hesitate, you hand over control of your life to your weakest thoughts. People don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they hesitate long enough to convince themselves that they are. Confidence doesn't disappear overnight. It's drained by small moments of hesitation repeated over years. Hesitation destroys confidence because it interrupts momentum. Once you lose momentum, your mind becomes a battlefield where uncertainty wins by default. Think about how many opportunities you've missed, not because you lack talent or strength, but because you hesitated just long enough for fear to talk you out of it. That message you didn't send, that idea you didn't pursue, that chance you didn't take, all of them were victims of hesitation. And here's another. The world belongs to the people who act, not the people who wait. When you move instantly, you cut off fear before it gains power. When you hesitate, you invite fear to lead you. Instant action is confidence in motion. The moment you make a decision and execute, even if you feel uncertain, you shift your identity towards strength. Your brain learns something essential. You are someone who acts, someone who commits, someone who doesn't fold under pressure. That single behavior creates a psychological loop. Action builds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. This is why decisive people appear powerful, why leaders feel unshakable, and why successful individuals rise faster. They don't give fear the luxury of time. They move, they act, they strike. And because of that, the world responds to them differently. People often think hesitation protects them from mistakes, but it does the opposite. Hesitation magnifies mistakes by delaying progress. The longer you wait, the more complicated the decision feels. The more you think, the more problems you imagine. The more you stall, the more your courage fades. Meanwhile, the world rewards the person who steps forward, not the person who stands still. Once you understand that action eliminates fear, while hesitation feeds it, your entire mindset shifts. The is simple. Confidence is not built by thinking. You cannot think your way into power. You move your way into power. When you act quickly, you develop clarity. You learn faster, adapt faster, and grow stronger. You get feedback from life instead of sitting in your head inventing disaster scenarios. And every time you take decisive action, your internal belief system expands. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to rely on your instincts. You begin to recognize your own capability. This self-trust is the essence of confidence. Every time you hesitate, you erode it. Every time you act, you reinforce it. Hesitation isn't harmless. It conditions your mind to expect failure. It teaches your brain that fear is the leader and you are the follower. It makes you addicted to comfort, attached to safety, and allergic to growth. The people who lack confidence aren't weak. They're stuck in the habit of hesitation, and habits become identity. The person who hesitates becomes the person who avoids. The person who avoids becomes the person who quits. And the person who quits becomes the person who watches life happen but never participates. But you are not that person. And you break hesitation the moment you decide that action will be your new default. You don't wait to feel brave. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait for motivation. You act. And because you act, confidence shows up. You send the message, you start the task, you make the call, you walk into the room, you make the move before fear has time to negotiate with you. That single habit separates the confident from the confused, the successful from the stuck, the unstoppable from the average. Your confidence grows every time you choose action over anxiety. Every time you interrupt hesitation, you weaken fear. Every time you take a step, you strengthen your identity. The person who acts becomes the person who wins, not because they were the smartest or the strongest, but because they refused to let hesitation design their life. This is how you build unshakable confidence, by mastering the moments where hesitation tries to steal it. And when you learn to move instantly, you become unstoppable. Controlling your inner dialogue is one of the most powerful advantages you can ever gain over yourself, because the voice inside your head is either your greatest enemy or your greatest weapon. Most people never rise to their full potential because they allow their mind to bully them. They let doubt run wild, they let fear speak louder than ambition, and they let insecurity narrate their entire life. But your inner dialogue creates your identity long before your actions ever do. The words you repeat in your mind sculpt the person you become. If your internal voice is weak, your external reality will always follow that weakness. If your internal voice is powerful, nothing outside you can break you. Every thought you allow is an instruction to your subconscious. When you tell yourself you're not ready, your mind shuts down possibilities. When you repeat that you're not good enough, your actions shrink to match that belief. When you constantly replay your failures, you create an identity rooted in fear. But the opposite is equally true. When you talk to yourself with strength, certainty, and purpose, your mind responds by giving you access to your real potential. This is why controlling your inner dialogue is essential for instant confidence. The is simple. You cannot speak to yourself like a victim and expect to live like a leader. Your inner dialogue must be disciplined. You must become the commander of your thoughts, not the captive. Confidence is built by teaching your mind a new language, the language of strength. Instead of "I can't," you train your mind to say "I will." Instead of "What if I fail?" you teach it to say "What if I grow?" Instead of "I'm not enough," you teach it to say, "I am built for this." These aren't just positive affirmations. They are psychological rewiring. Your brain believes repetition. It doesn't question whether something is true. It simply follows the narrative you feed it. And if you don't consciously choose that narrative, fear will choose it for you. Your inner dialogue shapes your emotional state. The words you think create the emotions you feel. When your inner voice speaks fear, your body reacts with hesitation. When your inner voice speaks power, your body responds with certainty. Leaders understand this. Champions understand this. High performers across every field understand this. They know that the battle is won internally before it's ever won externally. Here's another. Confidence is not the absence of negative thoughts. It's the dominance of stronger thoughts that override them. Controlling your inner dialogue requires awareness and discipline. You must learn to catch the weak thoughts before they take root. Every time your mind whispers doubt, challenge it with fact. Every time insecurity surfaces, overwhelm it with identity. Every time fear tries to negotiate, shut it down with action. Your self-talk must be loud enough to drown out your excuses. It must be strong enough to overpower your old patterns. It must be intentional enough to direct your decisions toward growth, not retreat. Your inner dialogue must speak to you like you are the leader of your own life. Tell yourself the truth, not the emotional truth, but the real truth. You have survived everything life has thrown at you. You have grown stronger every time you were challenged, and you have the capacity to do far more than you allow yourself to believe. Confidence grows when you remind yourself who you are. Confidence grows when you refuse to let fear write the script. Confidence grows when you replace mental chaos with mental command. Here's that changes everything. Your mind listens to you more than anyone else. Your voice, the one inside your head, is the one voice you can never escape. You hear it in your victories, your failures, your quiet moments, and your storms. And if that voice is not working in your favor, you will always feel like you're fighting against yourself. But when that inner voice becomes your ally, not your enemy, you unlock a level of confidence that no external force can touch. Controlling your inner dialogue means building a mental environment where strength is normal, certainty is expected, and doubt is temporary. You learn to speak to yourself with the same respect, discipline, and authority you expect from a leader. You learn to silence the emotional noise and amplify your purpose. You learn to command your thoughts the way a general commands an army, with direction, with clarity, and with unshakable conviction. When your inner dialogue becomes aligned with who you want to be, your actions follow effortlessly. You show up with more presence. You speak with more authority. You walk with more certainty. You make decisions faster. Trust yourself deeper and push yourself further. This is the power of mastering your inner voice. And once you control the world inside your head, the world outside, you can do nothing to shake you. Discipline is the foundation of real confidence because it builds something motivation can never give you: self-trust. Most people rely on motivation, and that's why they stay stuck. Motivation is emotional, unstable, unpredictable. Some days you feel it, most days you don't. But discipline doesn't care about feelings. Discipline is the commitment to show up, to push, to execute, even when you're tired, even when you're stressed, even when you don't feel like it. And here's the confidence comes from knowing that you can depend on yourself when your emotions try to betray you. When discipline becomes your default, confidence becomes your identity. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes a deposit into your confidence. Every promise you break becomes a withdrawal. This is where most people destroy themselves without even noticing. They say they'll wake up early, but they snooze. They say they'll start the project, but they procrastinate. They say they'll be consistent, but they quit the moment it gets uncomfortable. And with every broken promise, they send a message to their own mind: I cannot trust myself. That belief becomes internal poison. It weakens your spirit, it erodes your confidence, and it turns even simple tasks into battles. But when you choose discipline, when you follow through regardless of how you feel, you send a new message: I am someone who does what I say. That identity creates real, unshakable confidence. Discipline builds confidence because it transforms pressure into power. When you force yourself to push through resistance, you learn something profound. You are stronger than your excuses. You realize that the voice telling you to stop is not your truth. It's just the weaker version of yourself trying to survive. And here's another: the more you defeat that weak voice, the quieter it becomes. The more you follow through, the more you trust your own ability. The more you trust your ability, the more confidence becomes your natural state. Discipline is the sharpening stone that turns self-belief into a weapon. Most people think confidence comes from success, but that's only half true. Confidence comes from the process that leads to success. The grind, the consistency, the daily work nobody sees. The reps you put in when nobody is watching. The late nights, the early mornings, the boring repetitions. That's where confidence is forged. Success is the reward, but discipline is the creator. Here's the confidence is earned long before the results appear. It's earned in the solitude of effort. It's earned in the moments where you could quit but don't. It's earned in the choices you make when nobody else is there to applaud you. Discipline also builds emotional stability, which is crucial for confidence. When you rely on motivation, you become fragile. Small problems shake you. Minor setbacks discourage you. One bad day ruins your entire week. But when discipline runs your life, emotions stop controlling your direction. You learn to operate with clarity even when your mind is noisy. You learn to take action even when your mood is low. You learn to remain grounded even when life throws storms at you. That stability is what confident people are built from. They don't crumble, they don't retreat, they don't panic, they execute. The real is this: discipline gives you proof. Proof that you are capable, proof that you are consistent, proof that you are reliable. Confidence without proof is delusion. Confidence backed by proof is unbreakable. Every disciplined action you take becomes evidence your brain can lean on. When fear shows up, you have proof. When doubt whispers, you have proof. When insecurity tries to rise, you have proof. And this proof becomes armor around your identity. Discipline also frees you from the need for validation. When you know you outwork your doubts, outwork your weaknesses, and outwork the old version of yourself, you stop caring what people think. You don't need applause. You don't need permission.